I don't know how about the audience. Some of them may know the American politics well, some may not. But I think with Larry's knowledge and experience in democracy, and with Ambassador Shen's knowledge of American politics, I think the two of you may put on a good show for the audience today.
And some of what I'm going to share with you is from a lecture I've been giving for several years now about why American democracy has been performing so poorly. And mainly it has to do with political polarization. Polarization is just the separation of different political parties or points of view into increasingly distant, antagonistic, and incompatible oppositions. And you're going to see some slides about what distant and incompatible means. So let's get started. In the United States for probably 10 or 15, 20 years now. And that were not the case for a long period of time in the kind of first 70 years of the 20th century. The Congress has become much more ideologically polarized. That is, right and left are more distant from one another in their political preferences. It has also become more polarized on partisan lines as Republicans move more to the right, Democrats somewhat more to the left, but now they're moving a lot more to the left of late. The Congress has become less productive. You know, we have a lot of veto points in our United States Congress. And particularly the Senate can be a brake on legislative productivity. So if you don't have any compromise and some willingness to cooperate across partisan lines, it's hard to get things done. The people have become more ideologically polarized and more partisan, but as I'm going to show you, they're not as polarized as the Congress. Part of what's driving this is that the people are engaged in something called residential sorting. They're literally moving to places that they feel more ideologically and politically at home in. And so this creates these residential and social silos where we have fewer swing districts, fewer swing states. If you're conservative, you might decide you want to leave the West Coast and move to Texas. If you're a liberal, you might decide you want to leave Texas and move to California or Massachusetts. There's growing enmity, and this should breed distrust between the parties at both levels of elite and mass. You're going to see a slide about that. And this is particularly troubling to me and drives a lot of my thinking about political reform. Could cooperate with them. Some of the liberal Republicans shared a lot with many of the Democrats and were in favor of civil rights legislation and social legislation. Anyone know who this is? Ambassador Shen doesn't get to participate. This man has a building in the House of Representatives named after him. This is Sam Rayburn, who was the Speaker of the House of Representatives for 15 or 20 years, and was a, kind of a centrist to conservative Democrat. On the right is Nelson Rockefeller, who was a Republican four-term governor of California, of New York, but a pretty liberal one, passed a lot of social legislation, was very much in support of civil rights legislation. You don't see this very much anymore. A liberal Republican governor, conservative Democratic member of Congress, not to mention Speaker. Part of what's happened, you can see, is that the Congress, I'm sorry I don't have super recent data, but you can see the trend. The Congress is becoming less and less productive. It's passing fewer and fewer bills because it just can't agree on anything because the parties are so far apart.